Marta Easton, getting ready for her last day at work. She's putting on a brave face about losing a job she's been doing for a quarter of a century. She tells me she didn't think this day would ever come.
I think I've always held out hope that someone will buy it, because it shouldn't close. You know, it's been there for all those years. It just seems unreal. I've loved every minute of working there. I just can't imagine not working there. And we had some great times there. We used to have like all the stars come through, and my job was to go and greet them at the aircraft. I would never get another job like that again.
The news about Manston's closure came just weeks after Marta received another shocking blow.
Last December I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I've had the operation and I'm now going through my chemotherapy. So at the end of it, I'll come out stronger.
Supporting her is husband Gary, who also worked at the airport.
All right, Mark, I'm just making you tea.
Thank you.
He was let go in 1995 after 9 years of service.
It's a bad day for both of us. You know, she's got her other problems, and I'm a bit emotional myself because I was born in Ramsgate, you know, and it's always been there, and I can't imagine it not being there. Well, honestly, this is going to be a terrible day for Marta. I mean, the Manston has been her life. If you cut my wife in half, like a stick of rock, you would see Manston, you know.
Marta has made this journey from her home in Ramsgate to Manston for the last 25 years. She's always looked forward to arriving. But not today.
Even when it's finished, there'd still be a part of me up there because I don't want to not go working there after today. I was sad and heartbroken. End of an era for me, I think.
A short time ago, the first batch of 24 girls to arrive in France stepped from their landing craft onto the beaches of Normandy to take up clerical duties on the Western Front.
Less than a month after D-Day, while fighting still raged in the coastal towns, the women of the British Army arrived. Among them, in July 1944, Celia Osborne from Eastbourne, 90 now and with military maps that also chart her journey through occupied Europe. It began when she and 200 others boarded a troopship in Southampton, an event noteworthy enough to merit a photo in a national newspaper.
It was a shock to the captain when we arrived, and she put her foot down and wasn't going to let us go on the ship. But as the ship captain said, well, there's only one ship, so that's it. She wanted us separated from the men, yes.
This is Celia on the D-Day beaches at Courcelles. The women's arrival unexpected, to say the least.
Mostly it was men staring at us. We just got into the lorries and went off to the camp.
Camp life is no new experience for them. The smooth establishment comes from efficient training.
The camp was a series of makeshift tents that formed offices for the clerks and typists.
Open-air office work. They start in quickly on the job.
All like Celia, volunteers from the ATS, the Auxiliary Territorial Service.
It was very difficult at times because the papers kept blowing away. But yes, we had the whole office with typewriters and everything like that in the tents.
Those in the armed forces and of course nurses in field hospitals were often close to the front line and the bombing.
Normandy was still being bombed at that stage, and shells, and they came most nights. We were there in Normandy about 3 months, I think. And we went in troop ships to Brussels, where we did get a hero's welcome all the way through. They were really very, very delighted, but very surprised. It was women, and if we stopped, they came around and brought flowers and fruit.
The role that women played in the landings is sometimes overlooked. 70 years on, it's right to remember them as well as the fighting men of D-Day. Nashreen Issa, ITV News. on the road again. This band of bikers includes an engineer, a businessman and a former police officer. But they're not just easy riders, they work together, delivering urgently needed supplies to hospitals. They're known as blood runners, a volunteer emergency service.
Hello?
Oh, good evening. It's blood transfusion at the William Harvey here.
On call, every night, every weekend. The number of those calls for help has trebled in the last 3 years.
They're ready and they're urgent. They're priority 1.
Urgently. OK, I'll leave straight away. Thank you. Bye-bye. First and foremost, I'm a biker. And combining the bike and helping something with charity is excellent. And you get a warm feeling when you leave that hospital knowing that you've been part of a team that's probably helped save somebody's life.
You pay for the petrol, you
Correct.
pay for the vehicles, the
That's
insurance, the road tax, and you're not getting paid to do this.
Absolutely.
What's the motivation?
Motivation, I suppose, is some people like dropping money into a charity box. I like to actually give my time and effort to a charity. That's the reason. And helping our local NHS.
Helping the NHS at a time when its budgets are stretched. Out of hours, our hospitals use taxis or couriers to ferry blood from blood banks to patients in need, which can be costly. So they're increasingly relying on the blood runners, who help save tens and thousands of pounds.
This is money that the taxpayer doesn't have to find. Every time the blood bikers come and we're not relying on a taxi company, that's another £50 that we've saved, leaving us more funds to treat patients. You don't have very much warning before all of a sudden you could have somebody bleeding in theatre and somebody bleeding in A&E. So you can go from having quite reasonable stock levels of blood to suddenly not having very much at all, and it's at times like these that the blood runners step in so we can continue treating patients and not worry that we're going to run out.
They never run out here either at the Kent, Surrey and Sussex Air Ambulance. Bikers deliver blood here every day, and it means doctors and paramedics can carry out blood transfusions at the scene of an accident. It's a procedure that's usually performed after a patient arrives at hospital. Doing it this way can increase somebody's chance of survival.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, good. What are you up to?
And it was in hospital where schoolgirl Caitlin was last Christmas Eve, needing a transfusion after chemotherapy. Today, she's meeting the man who helped make that happen.
I just want to say a massive thank you, not just for that occasion, but for all of the occasions where not just me, but loads of people need blood and need it as fast as they can get it, because the faster you can have it and the faster it gets into your system, the better your recovery will be and the better you'll feel.
She couldn't have had the treatment without having the blood transfusions and the platelet transfusions. You can't do it with chemotherapy, so it is literally a lifeline.
We don't always know what the outcome is or why we're transferring. We know what products we move about. It can be blood, plasma, platelets. It can be samples that need to go away for a specialist test that particular night. We get meningitis samples, spinal fluids to move. So to actually come along this afternoon and see somebody we've helped, and obviously doing really well, lovely girl, and it's absolutely brilliant, really brilliant.
With demand growing fast, the charity is calling for more volunteers to get on board. Nashreen Issa, ITV News.